Hey, welcome everyone. It's Wednesday, right? And every Wednesday we talk about leadership, we talk about self-development, we talk about mindset, anything that we can do to help grow your business, but really growing you. Because if it's not the best version of you, you're not giving the best version to anyone else. And so it's really important that you can take care of yourself, right? Put some time into yourself, take care of yourself. And that's really what we want to do, anything we can. And when you have a resource like Stephen, we're going to use that resource, and I am grateful for him to give his time and step away from his practice and just go, hey, you know what, I'm going to pour into our teams. And so I am honored to have Stephen here. Stephen and I were talking the other day, and I called him back. I was like, hey, we had some really good ideas. Do you remember what they were? And both of
I was
us
relying on you to remember it.
right. It's one of those
You're gonna wing it.
Yeah, one of those weeks where it's like you have so many things on your mind, you don't ever give full attention. And I didn't give full attention to the situation, and it led to not remembering, right? But he's come up with a couple good ideas. My background is sports. That's my whole life. That's all I knew. Started playing sports. My parents put me in them when I was 4. And ever since then, went all the way through high school into college playing sports. And then the arm gave out, and that was it. But I got into coaching, and I'm telling you, I love coaching more than I love playing. And for me to say that, I don't know if I'd ever say that, Stephen. I love.
What's a good thing?
But coaching was good. So let's play with this. Let's relate. Let's take these analogies, these ways that we build teams in sports, and how do they relate to network marketing?
Yeah, I find that fascinating because I always like to give people analogies so they can see things from a different perspective, and they go, oh, yeah, that's what you mean, right? So first of all, here's a question for you, Ryan. What is one of the most common previous occupations of people in network marketing who do really, really, really well?
That's funny. Teacher and coach.
Yeah, that's right. Not salesperson.
No.
Not salesperson. Coach.
No. They're in my top. That's in my top 5 list of people I'm looking for. You know.
Yeah, 100%. Absolutely. Yeah, because they get people like so. There's so many different sports analogies that go into, into network marketing. One of my favorite ones, I think we might have talked about this the other day. It was like, you mentioned that you're a golf coach, right? And imagine like you're my coach, and you're like, man, Steve, you have an amazing swing, and you drive that ball off the tee super, super far and straight like an arrow. That's incredible. But right into the sand trap every single time. And one day you're like, okay, I hate to ask this, man, but so when you line up and before you hit the ball, you're looking at the tee, aren't you? And I'm like, no, man, I hate the sand trap. So I'm always wondering, why do I end up at the sand trap? So I keep my eye very carefully on that sand trap. You're like, okay, we have a problem. You don't know, you're not focused on where you want to go.
Right.
And so when people run into frustrations in life or business, and they're going, why didn't it work out? How come I can't do this? How come I can't motivate myself? Why am I not making any money? Why does network marketing never work for me? Why am I so scared to pick up the phone? Like blah, 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 blah. I'm like staring at the sand trap. Thinking if I stare at this sand trap for long enough, I will eventually hit the green. It's like, no.
No,
I don't think so.
And that is huge, because as we've worked with people, new people, each and every time they come in, those that look at their goal, they look at where they're going. Like, that's what I want. Like, I heard a story of this person, they got into network marketing and they did it kind of part-time and da. And next thing you know, it was their source of income, and they're doing this and this. And that's what I wanted. And that's where I kept my eyes. Like, they did it. And then you have other people that say, man, I just don't think I can do that. There's no way. I don't know how they got there. I just don't talk very well. I just don't know anybody. And they just kept magnifying their defaults, right? Their discrepancies, their issues that they feel like they have, right? And they've magnified them so big that that's all they can focus on. And it never fails. What we magnify usually comes to play in our life.
So I'll just before this, if you see this, there's a webinar playing here by a guy who charges people up to $100,000 a day to coach them in business. And it's just a free webinar I'm listening to. But one of the main things he talks about, which is very basic, is people think about doing the business and they think about first the how, okay, well, exactly how would I do that before I commit to it? Oh, I know. I have these 4 friends I'm going to tell about Vitify and they're going to do it. Cool. I know how now. No. Right. First, you have, what he says is your why has to be bigger than everything else.
Mm-hmm.
So why are you doing this? Right.
Yeah.
Do anyone know who Robert Kiyosaki is? Have you ever heard of him? Read his books, Rich Dad, Poor Dad?
Yep.
There's talk about why. It's what's your vision? Why must you do this? If you don't have a why I must do this, you could make a little bit of money in Vitify, but you'll never build any significant. So Robert Kiyosaki talks about, he had a rich dad and a poor dad, and he had moved from Hawaii to California, and he and his wife were starting a business. The business was struggling because we spent our last money on a 6-pack of beer and a pizza. And we went to the payphone and we called Rich Dad for some money, ask him for some money. So I call up Rich Dad, and Rich Dad's like, hey, so why are you doing this business? And he goes, I hesitated. You know what Rich Dad said? I knew it. You lost your vision. You better get it back. Good luck. Click.
That's
interesting. Interesting. Oh, you want to build a really big business in Vitify? I better be able to walk in your bedroom in the middle of the night, splash water on your face, and ask you why. And you're like, boom, this is my vision. This is why I'm doing this. This is what I'm committed to.
Right. Right.
I mean, if you don't have that, you're not going to build anything significant. If you just want to build a part-time income and have some nice community of positive people to hang out with and sell a little bit of product here and there and have some nice tax drive, cool. Don't worry about it. It's like a vision. If you want to build something that's going to change your life, if you don't have a vision, forget it. Let's just be honest. Not going to happen.
Right. Right. No, I agree.
And then you have to decide, are you okay with it not happening?
And that's what I was exactly what I was going to say. Are you okay? And usually I've had people say, no, I'm not okay. And I'm like, well, let's look at our actions. Everything you're doing and everything you're saying says you are okay with it. Right.
100%.
And so it just doesn't match. I've had so many athletes come through and they're like, Coach, I want to start varsity. I know I'm just sophomore, but I want to start varsity. And I'm like, okay, great. Here's what we need to do, right? We need to be doing this, blah, 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 blah. We go down the list. And their actions never match their words, right? And then eventually their words are not even there anymore. It's like, oh, I guess I'll never make it. I'm just not good enough, and the words even change. And so now your actions don't match, your words don't match, but yet you still keep coming back to me with a wish. Well, I wish I could start varsity. Well, you wish. That don't happen.
So you have to have, one interesting things about building a business, and this may sound weird, is you got to make sure that your ego is disconnected from what you actually want to create. If you don't disconnect your ego, you're not going to be open to the honest and accurate feedback that you really need.
Hands down.
Because you can't handle it, right? So if I'm like, okay, cool, Ryan, you say you want to do this. It's not going to happen because you're not doing what you need to do to get there. Are you okay with that? Look, not everyone needs to build a huge network marketing business. You have to be able to say to somebody, hey, are you still, you told me you wanted to build a business for this reason, whatever. You're sick of the school that your kids have to go to and you want to send them to private school.
Right.
Awesome. Is this still important to you? Yes or no? If it is, are we committed to changing your action? Look, at some point, and Patrick has a comment, at some point you might be like, what, I thought I was really committed to it, and I guess I'm not. Don't do it then, right? That's like, just be honest with yourself and go, okay, I guess I wasn't committed. That's not a problem. Because we don't attach your value to whether you do it or not.
Right.
You simply decided that you're not committed, and there's no shame in it, but just be honest. That's all, really. And Patrick, what do you have to say?
Yeah, I think one of the reasons, or the two reasons basically why people don't have a vision or are willing to go after it is, one, and specifically with Vidify and in general, but it's specifically with Vidify, they don't really understand what we have here. Like, what we have here is such a breakthrough that can impact millions and millions of people's lives around the world, like no other product's ever been in the nutritional health industry. It's unheard of. I think if people really took a serious look at what it is and got the products into themselves for long enough and hung around the team long enough, got to the meetings enough time to see the impact that this has made in people's lives, they would, first of all, they would buy more into the vision that, hey, we are going somewhere. We're going somewhere extraordinary. And we are such a small point. I mean, such a beginning point right now compared to our potential where we can go. The second thing I would say is that people in generally, they just don't believe that they can change their life. They want to, but then they're in this space where they don't believe. And I just want to share my story in network marketing to hopefully give you some hope that you have unbelievable powers inside of yourself, that you're not even have touched the scratch of the surface. I started out in life with enormous disadvantages. I was very shy. I grew up in an incredible rural area of Denmark, very shy, very overweight, got bullied a lot because of it. Then I got even more shy because I developed a hatred towards myself, because since everybody was bullying me, there must be something wrong with me. So I basically, for the first 20 years of my life, I hid away from the world. When I got started in network marketing at 21, I had so many disadvantages. I couldn't really, didn't have any confidence. I was one of those people that in a room, I would be behind in the room, just trying to hide away, wouldn't say anything. So no communication skills, no confidence, but, I had a dream. I had a dream that I wanted to do something. So I tried. And this is probably the most powerful thing you'll ever learn about personal development. It sounds overcomplicated or oversimplified. And it's basically just bloody try. And then when you tried and failed, you try some more. And then you fail some more. And then you try some more. And then you fail some more, and you try some more, and you fail. And then you become better. You become a little bit better. You start to get a little bit of results. Then you try some more, and you go to the next level. And I did it, unfortunately, through many different companies. I did it through 15 different companies in network marketing, until I finally reached that point that this is just not acceptable. I'm better than this. I can do this. I've seen complete idiots succeed in network marketing. And at this point, I wish I could kind of just take in my experience with the people I've met in network marketing and transfer it into your head to let you know that all the people I've seen that has come from, people has come from being homeless. People has come from, I know a couple that had a crash in a car crash, lost their health, lived in the basement of a friend because they lost their income because they lost their health. They were fitness coaches. Completely lost everything, build an amazing income from network marketing. I've seen blind people, deaf people, dumb people, young people, old people, highly educated people, people with no education, make it network marketing. And the thing you really need in network marketing is belief. And that belief you get from plugging into a community and hanging around, and the willingness to just keep on going.
Yeah.
Learn a little bit more. See, I'll finish with this. The biggest disadvantage most of you have is that you think that I and Ryan and Juan and Steven, we have something that you don't have. That's the biggest thing that will hold you back. And you are wrong. You're 100% wrong. There is nothing that we have. I heard this training the other day with one of the top people in the industry that was talking about what's the difference between the top performers in this industry and then somebody who just comes in and dabbles a little bit and tries and then quit. What's the difference between those? Who wants to take a guess? Yvette, you've probably heard this before. No.
Their belief.
What's the difference? This is really important. I want you to write this down. Not that much. That's it. There's not much difference. The only difference is that the people that went to the top, they were willing to take the hits. They're willing to keep on going. They had a mindset of, hey, I can learn this. I can learn this. I can become better. I know I will make it one day. And it's not important whether it's going to be tomorrow or in 3 years or 5 years. And by the way, it takes a normal business 3 years on average to hit break even. Break even means that you make no money, but you're also not losing money. Right? Yeah. 3 years. So when somebody asks you, so how much money have you made? Just forgive them, because it's just a little bit dumb. Right? Because it's like, how do they expect to make money like in 6 months? There's no normal business. When we do it, like in network marketing, you do it fairly quickly. Right? Yeah. But you've got to give yourself time. Give yourself time to fail. You're okay. There's nothing wrong with you. There is nothing wrong with you. Don't think that we have something different than you do. We don't. Yeah. You have everything that you need to succeed. You just have to have the willingness to fail and keep on moving forward. And especially with this company, we have something that is so extraordinary that I hope that the products alone will hopefully inspire you to stick around a little bit longer and being willing to just keep on at it until you get that breakthrough. That's it.
Totally agree. You know, what I would say is the people who are successful, they have a have to, right? And a vision, right? Not any basic weird skill sets that no one else can develop or have, but it's like, I know I can do it. I know where I'm going. And to go back to the sports analogies, Ryan, question for you. I don't know a lot about baseball, but imagine like you're my baseball coach and I hit the ball, and about at least minimum 35% of the time at bat, I hit the ball. But I'm like, oh, good Lord, I kind of suck at this baseball thing, right? But like 65% of the time, I'm not even hitting the ball. Like, I'm just going to go do something else because clearly I'm not cut out for this. What do you say to me?
You know, it's funny. I'm like, people get paid hundreds of millions of dollars to strike out 7 out of 10 times. Yeah. Crap, we're even at a point right now in Major League Baseball. At this point, people get paid millions of dollars to strike out 80% of the time. There's guys making buku. It's okay to strike out. Like, oh,
it's okay.
Yeah, interesting. Because at least you're swinging. You got a chance to hit it, right?
Right. So part of doing network marketing successfully is being wholehearted consistently. Does that make sense? Man, I swing it and I swing it, right? It's like, and see, I know that. So part of the advantage I have is that if someone signs up for me in Vidify and they give me $1,000 and they tell me how amazing they are and all their past experience, and then the next day, you know what they do, Ryan? They join the witness protection program. Have you ever had anybody join the witness protection program? like they're like, they don't return my calls, don't return my texts, they like vanish off the planet. You're like, now, if you're new to network marketing, you'd be like, I guess this is not for me. It doesn't work for me. For me, I'm like, no, people are crazy. Next.
Right.
Because I know it's like, oh, no, man, I can swing and miss 80% of the time and still make the big bucks, but I got to keep going.
Right.
Like I can't play one game and walk away and go, I'm done. And they're like, oh, well, no problem. Your check's in the mail. We'll send you a couple $1 million. It's like, no.
Well, and the funny
That's
thing
not cutting it.
is what's keeping you going is your vision. So the vision keeps you going through all that. And I tell my guys, so there was one thing that I found my greatest teams, right? We talked about all the time, hey, you need to fall in love with the process. And my guys would be like, I don't even know what that means. I'm like, well, what's the process to get good? All right. We want to start. You want to be a starter. You want to be a contributor. You want to be someone that helps a team. What's the process to get there? Well, I've got to lift weights. I've got to eat right. I'm going to have to practice, and I'm going to have to put time in on my own away from practice with the team, right? I'm going to have to do all those. I can't fall in love with the outcome, the outcome, because once you get there, if that's the case, then guess what? You get there, woohoo, championship, I'm done, and you just stop, right? Or the first time you fail, like this was my goal, Michael Jordan didn't make the varsity team his sophomore year of high school. Boom, he's cut from the varsity. He has to go back down and play the JV, right? Greatest basketball player of all time. If he didn't have a vision, and if he didn't have a love for the game, a love for the process, he failed on the goal he wanted, right? And so there's so many of us that get into this, and I've been one of those before, that, hey, I want to be up there. I want to be this guy, right? But nothing worked. The witness protection plan hit like 80% of the people that I enrolled, right? 15% just bought product. They were buying product and maybe telling somebody, and I had one person. I was like, oh, I just thought of the 20 I signed up, all 20 were just going to be rock stars. No, it's not the way it works. It's that love of the process. What's the process of network marketing? What got Patrick? What got you there? What got you there, Stephen? It was loving connecting with people, loving learning how to build your business on social media, how to doing your birthday wishes, doing all those things, the process that brings people, the IGAs, the income generating activities. That's what you need to fall in love with. Don't fall in love with that $15,000, $20,000 check. That's a wish list. That can be fixed with money, right?
If I say something about that, like love of learning how to connect with people, actually, that wasn't what kept me going. It was just pure desperation. I knew I was too dumb to make it in real business, right? Like network marketing is like, this is my only chance. There's no other way that I can succeed and become financially free. This is the industry. That like the incredible thing about this industry, you have coaches, you have people that care for you, that want to see you succeed. Where are you going to find that? Anywhere else? Even in traditional business, if you hire a coach, like, okay, they're with you 1 hour a week. That's it. They don't really care about you the same way that your upline cares about you. This is family. Come into family, and if you stay in a high performance environment for too long, not too long, for long enough, it will automatically change you. For me, it was pure desperation of wanting to have a better life, not having to go to like a 7 to 4 every single day, doing the same freaking thing over and over and over again, doing stuff I didn't like with people I didn't care about. I wanted to make a difference in the world. I was desperate to do that. And that's what drove me forward. And finally, I fell in love with it. I fell in love with the business when I overcame all those problems. And then, in 2002, I had my breakthrough, and that became because of a complete commitment. I'm going to do it, and then build a team of 4,500 people in a year, 10,000 people in 2 years. And the rest is sort of history. I made lots of errors along the way, sold that business, and then it took me a while to find the way again. And now when I saw what we have here at Vidify, I was like, this is it. I'm gonna go to the top, and we're gonna build a huge team, Huge team. We've already built about 700 people since February under challenging conditions, very challenging conditions. It will continue to be challenging, but from now on, it's just going to get easier and easier and easier and easier. And I expect that by the end of next year, we're going to be at least 5,000 people in this team. And then we're going to go to 15,000 the following year, and then we're going to go to 40,000, we go to 100,000, and we're going to change the world.
Right.
And that's now what drives me. It's exciting.
I'll in keeping with that, I'll give you another sports analogy. I like puzzles, and so at age probably 47 or 48, I decided the brilliant idea will be to start doing Brazilian jiu-jitsu for the first time in my life, because what could possibly go wrong at 48, right? A lot. So like injured every single day. My jiu-jitsu professor told me this. That's what they call it, black belt, the professor. He said, Steve, he goes, in jiu-jitsu, sometimes you're the hammer, sometimes you're the nail. It's like part of the process, right? But one of the things we talk about, the ability to be wholehearted, is because you disconnect your ego from how well it's going. Super important. So you have to get your value from something else. Ryan, I don't know which basketball player this was. You might know. I want to say Kobe Bryant or LeBron James or somebody, but I think it was Kobe Bryant. Initially, like, sucked at basketball, and his dad took him aside and go, look, here's the deal. I love you, son. You could suck at this. You could be amazing. It won't matter one single bit. You'll never be worth less to me. And he took that identity from his father and allowed him to be massively wholehearted.
Right.
Right. So if your ego is attached to the business ups and downs, if the failure can tell you what you're worth, the failure or the threat of failure can be so potentially painful that you'll pull back.
Right.
I'm like, why? Because it will feel safer to not really go for it than to go for it and then fail.
Right.
Right. You see this a lot with people trying to lose weight. There is much more shame in terms of weight gain or weight loss or whatever your weight is, much more shame for someone who's been fat, got fit, been fat again, than for someone who's just been fat their whole life. Right. So if I'm trying to coach someone who's been fit, got fat, got fit, got fat again, it's much more difficult for them, because, if you're fat your whole life, you're like, oh, well, Ryan, you have some genetic metabolism issues, you're big boned. But if you were fat and you got super fit, now you're fat again, everyone's like, oh, did you see what happened to Ryan? He just must be lazy.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so they'll resist. I don't want to go for it again. Right. So part of being very successful is, how are you going to handle the losses? How quickly can you not let them identify you, and you got to move through, right? Whether it's, man, I hit this rank and then business was down, and now I'm embarrassed. And I don't know if it was so painful to lose that rank. See, no, you gotta be very wholehearted, and the only way you can be wholehearted is to have clear. For me, if you ask, okay, how do you have a bulletproof identity? For me, I would say you have to be connected. The unconditional love defines you, and as a Christian, for me, that's God's love for me, that's clearly demonstrated. Right? If that's not whatever you believe, you better figure something out.
Right.
That makes you bulletproof, or else,
Right.
you're super vulnerable. Right.
Right. Yeah.
I'm not counting the no's. I don't even care about the number. I'm counting yeses. I have 47 yeses so far. I'm getting another 50 yeses in the next year. That's what I'm aiming for.
Right.
It's all I'm focused on. I literally have no clue, and I can't even remember. Like, maybe if I try hard, maybe I can remember a few of the no's. Like, I have to try hard.
The only indication I have is how many friends I had in the old testimonial group. I've probably given information to 700 people or so who've asked me for information. I've given it to them.
Right.
Like, move forward. Right. So here's the order. It's like, here's a question for you. Do you have your must, your have to, the thing you're absolutely committed to? Like, I am not backing down, period. Okay, if you got that, great. Then here's the question for you. Are you willing, is that big enough that are you willing to spend 5 minutes every day writing it down, reading out loud? Here's the very important one, and feeling it, the accomplished reality of it. If you can do that, how you're going to do it will come to you, right? But you can't operate above your identity,
Right.
right? It's like, if a athlete thinks they're a loser and they suck now and that they can't play anymore, guess what? You now suck.
Right.
It's like, oh, the opposite team got in your head, and all of a sudden you forget how to play your sport. Like, would you lose a limb or something? I mean, what are we talking about here? No, it's like the belief you lost it.
Right.
You know.
Right. And we keep that belief by getting close to each other and working together and staying connected. Listen, if you pull away, I don't care what it is, if you pull away for a week or two, you're going to be very vulnerable to the attack. You're going to be very vulnerable to failure just crushing you, right? I love events. Like, I love events. I wish Vitify did more events. I loved them, right? Maybe they don't need to do a bunch, but 1 or 2 a year. But I could come out of those events and, I put out hell with a bucket of water. Like, I felt like I could fly through hell on a handbasket on a rope that's rotten. You feel good, right? And so staying close to the fire is huge on that, and just building your belief. I'm a believer as well, Stephen. And my times where I get away from the word, I struggle, right? I quickly forget, right? And so I stay close to the community. Listen, the other thing that I learned, not only do I stay close to the community, I go and I find the people that are doing it well, and I bug the mess out of them. First time I ever got network marketing, I had 2 people that were willing. They opened the door. They said, hey, anytime you want to learn, hit me up. If you got questions, hit me up. I bugged the mess out of them. Like, I know I had to bother them. I know there was times they were like, oh, it's Ryan again. But we went to events and I just hung out with them. I just went that way. Like, what do they do? What do they say? How are they doing this? And I just wanted to learn. The success leaves clues, that saying, I bought into that fully, right? And I've done that my whole life with all the other top coaches. We'd go to coaching clinics, went straight to Skip Brock. Dude, I'm just going to listen, see what he does. How's he talk? What's he do? What's his little, so like, stay close to the fire and find people that are doing it at the level you want to do it and bug the mess out of them.
Yeah. Here's an interesting thing. I tell everyone I enroll, I'm like, I will give you as much help as you ask for. You can't ask me for too much help. Ryan, of the hundreds of people you've enrolled and offered that to, how many people take you up on that and bug you like you bugged your upline?
3 or 4.
Interesting.
One of them's Dr. Thornton. Wait, he's a diamond, right?
Oh, interesting.
Yep.
Interesting. Like
Yep.
the people who are there, like, practice early.
Yeah.
like, yeah.
And I'll tell you guys, as a coach and as someone that's doing this, as a coach, I never was like, oh, so-and-so wants to get in the gym. Because I was bought into the dream with them. Our dream was win a state championship. Our dream was to develop athletes and be the best they could be at the end. That was my dream as well. And my dream is your dream, right? And we're going to say my vision. Everyone knows my vision. I want to help 100,000 families find financial freedom, whatever that looks like to them, by the end of 10 years. That's 100,000, right? That's my vision. That's where I'm going. And it seems like some people, Dr. J is one of those that bought into that vision. He just sends me stuff. Hey, I got a question about this. Hey, how do we do this? Hey, do you want to do a Zoom together? You want to do a call together? Hey, we got to do an event. I can get us in a, like, just constant. And the next thing you know, boom. He's not only has he broke the diamond, then he had multiple people underneath him start hitting Premier and then Elite and moving on because they were doing the same thing to him. So it's a funny game, but it's a game that's very rewarding, and it's a game that works if you're willing to give the effort with the right mindset and find your team, your crew, your group. It will bless you, I promise.
Here's a real quick. There's a guy named Jeff Olson in network marketing. He's known as the Millionaire Maker. He was the keynote closing speaker for the Direct Selling Association for like 15 years in a row. You think he might know what he's doing. Regarding what you just talked about, he said this. He says, an environment and associations can take you where you can't go on your own. Right? It's like, if I start a business and I partner with a billionaire serial entrepreneur, but his business I don't know anything about, and I fail to call up my business partner all the time and ask him for help, and then I wonder why my business failed. I'm like, there is an easy explanation for that. It's like, you never availed yourself of the resources available. And then you're probably like, well, those businesses don't work. I'm like, yeah, that's not the issue. Go ahead, Patrick.
I heard something really interesting recently, and it was from General Business Talk. And it was somebody who said that there were some statistics about when people hit a wall, what do? 97% of people that hit a wall, they either do more or less of what they already do. Only 3% do something different. They either do more or less. So, like, doing more is like being a fly trapped in a bottle going towards the light. Let's just try harder. Let's try harder. That sometimes it does work. It sometimes does work, right? But most people in network marketing, that's my experience, is they just stop doing it. So try something different. If you failed in network marketing before, how about this time try something different? That's, in fact, after my 14 years of failure in network marketing in 15 different companies, I said, this time I'm going to do something different. And there were several things I did. There's a few things, not several, it's just a few things. But one of them was that I'm going to find an upline that knows what the heck they're doing, and I'm going to shadow them. I'm going to squeeze everything out of them that they know. I'm going to observe them. I'm going to twist their arm and force them to help me. And that's it. That was the most important decision ever in business. So just think of this. If you failed before, I'm pretty sure this is not your first time in network marketing. What are you going to do different this time? And if you failed last month, if you didn't go anywhere last month, what are you going to do different this month? Anybody who's coached me for a while, you know, I'll ask typically at the end, how are you going to do and be different next week? I encourage you to ask yourself that question every week. How am I going to do and be different next week? Just keep on doing something a little bit different and a little bit different, and you'll get there.
I 100% agree. And back to another sports analogy regarding what you said, Patrick, here's a way to think about it. The reason people love professional athletes and professional sporting events, especially when the results are amazing, is we have an inherent desire to love the flow state. Things slow. What do I mean? Oh, man, they made that look so easy. And you see what they did, right? So we love that with professional sports, incredible musicians, all this different type of stuff, right? And people who are extraordinary athletes and they do something extraordinary, they'll tell you, oh, and it felt easy, right? And so one of the things, if you understand flow state, you'll understand how to adjust your business to make it dramatically more effective. So there's 4 sequential steps, and I've talked a lot about this. We'll go over it again. Selflessness, timelessness, effortlessness, richness. So selflessness is to get rid of your ego. Like, you can't have the potential failure trash talking you. Oh, I'm going to make you feel like a loser. You're going to fail again. Whatever. You're like, hey, man, I don't get my value from you. Shut up and sit down. Right. Number 2, timelessness. You have to be not run around reacting to everything that puts pressure on you. You got to have a plan. That makes sense. But what you talked about just about is selflessness, timelessness, effortlessness, right? What most people do is they take this emotion of frustration where you're like, oh, this. They take frustration, they misinterpret it. They go, oh, I'm so frustrated. What does it mean? It means, man, I just must not have what it takes. Maybe it's not going to work out. Okay, well, what's your plan? I think I'm just going to keep moving forward with the same mindset and same approach. Okay, like, why would you do that? Until you realize, wait, this doesn't have to be hard. Maybe if I figure out how to allow it to be easier, it'll be more abundant, right? If you take this feeling of frustration and instead of allowing it to tell you what your abilities and your future, reinterpret it that it's like the voice prompt on your GPS when you've made a wrong turn. Your voice prompt says, make a legal U-turn, make a legal U-turn, make a legal U-turn. Why? So you're going down the wrong road. The quick, easy, best route is back there. Like, you missed it. That's why it's frustrating. So stop, ask yourself, how can it be easier? How can I have fun doing this business? What's the easiest and fastest way to get to diamonds? Right? And your brain will be like, oh, that's a good question. I think we'll go figure that out for you. We'll get back to you. Right? But that's this frustration. It's like, be very careful of that. And just boom, get back to something else. So.
Love it. I appreciate both of you. This has been good. I even got a couple things down on my phone. I'm like, hey, that's a good one. So I appreciate it. Next week, I want to talk about, I'm just going to throw this out here now. It's being recorded so I can go back and remember it. Okay. I've had a couple people ask about conversations. Hey, how do I take a conversation and move it the direction I want to go? Wanting those skills. So let's talk about conversations and how to direct those in a way that feel natural, not salesy, not, I'm selling, but just how to listen and then guide the conversation in the right way. I had another guy just ask me, he's like, man, I'm messing up on my conversation. I must be off. Like, I can get people, they get excited, they ask me, and then I'm saying something wrong. So I'm having a talk with Brian right now, just on conversation. So maybe that's something we talk about next week. I think it'd be a good tool to learn.
Perfect.
So.
And that's very easy to how to get people to come to you. And when you give them information, they're like, thank you so much. As if they had asked you a favor to send them the information and you've inconvenienced yourself to do it for them.
Right. Right.
And when they thank you for it, then you know you're doing it right. They're like, because it was according to them, it was all their idea to ask you about your business and want information on it and sign up. Then you know you're doing it right.
Right. I love it. Love it.
Thank
All
you
right,
so
guys.
much for inconveniencing yourself and your busy day to give me information on how to buy your product. Okay.
Love it. Love it.
No problem. So,
Awesome. Well, if we don't have anything else, or if there's any questions, I have no problem answering some questions. But I hope this was good. I hope you understand I talk sports. It's the way I relate. So hope it worked. Lucian, I think you were trying to talk.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I want to encourage everybody never in network marketing will you have a better time to approach your cold market than the holiday that's fixing to come up. What do we wish every New Year's? Good health.
Right.
Perfect reason you can send invitations to everybody on your instant messenger list. Wish them Happy New Year and good health, and then lead it on.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
I'll leave it with this. Here's one thing to think about. And I was just thinking about this like super early this morning. I woke up early. A good ethical business solves a problem. And it solves it in a way that's a good value for the customer. Do you know, here's something most people don't know. How many people think that people are on average living longer than they used to maybe 20 years ago? Who thinks that? Wrong. I had a conversation on a cruise with a guy, and he was talking about his brother who is an actuary for an insurance company. I mean, they crunch the numbers and they get rid of the BS. Does that make sense? He said this, he goes, that's not true. He goes, on average, people are living maybe a year less, maybe 2 years less than they used to. He goes, but that's not the story. People used to spend 1 to 2 years in the disability zone. The years of your life where you just don't have a good quality life and you're just kind of waiting around to check out. Does that make sense? He goes, the real story is that people are now spending 2 to 10 years in the disability zone. Holy crap.
Yes.
The number one cause or contributor to every disease associated with aging is inflammation.
Exactly.
On top of that, the past 3 years we've gone through, talk about a dramatic need in the marketplace to recover from COVID or to recover. Some people didn't do well on the vaccine. Massive, massive, massive need in the marketplace for something that will work, let alone something they can get for as cheap as $30 for a bottle wholesale. It's unbelievable. Like, I've had that work for someone who is not doing well at all in their vaccine in 15 minutes, another person in like under 24 hours. Do we have a good business opportunity? Yeah. Stunning, you know. So anyways, something to think about as you move forward. Go tell people about it. So
Love it. I love it. Just get out of your comfort zone. I was challenged a long time ago. Do something that scares you every day. Do something in your business that scares you. And if talking to people or sharing, whatever, scare the crap out of yourself every day with something in your business. All right. That's all I got, guys.
that's
See ya.
it. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.